having more higher material standards is really important in poorer countries where people haven't got basic necessities.
This is Richard Wilkinson, co-author of The Spirit Level, who we heard from in episode 2.
But for us in the rich world, having more and more of everything makes less and less difference. It's no longer crucial to our well-being to have a higher material standard. It's not just a matter of taking out the bads. It's that our material standards are high enough. And actually, the way we should now be improving the real quality of our lives, now that that's no longer an effective method, is by improving the quality of the social environment.
It's highly sensitive, and it's highly personal to even speak in language of have and have not.
This is Maria Scordialis, co-founder of the Living Wholeness Institute and co-initiator of The Art of Hosting. She worked in the Frome area for the British government for many years.
To me, this is part of what has become and has been created from the 80s onwards with the neoliberalistic movement and the hyper-capitalism that kind of emerged in our world, is that this gentrification is a narrative or a myth, a modern-day myth that we are creating for ourselves as an aspiration of what we should all become. And in my life, I have lived with very affluent people, and I have lived and seen and witnessed and been part of severe poverty. And from a child living in India, being in the slums in India, I used to always find it, I mean, this is really young age, 7 years old, I could remember these thought forms going through my mind, is why do people that we call poor seem to be more happy and connected to their lives than the rich kids that I went to school with, who were taking drugs because they didn't have a family, or they had so much family pressure to be something that they were not. So I was always confused at this paradox. So the first thing that I would have to say is that if I was to be invited to have those kinds of conversations, I would want to reframe the haves and have-nots into what do we really see as life? What do we value about life? What do we really ask to leave for our children and for their children as our legacy? I would want to have a more root system conversation about living a good life and leaving a good earth for the next generations. Because I think that would allow us to go to a more meaningful conversation than a conversation about who has and who hasn't and what we're trying to aspire. Because to me, that just goes into that modern day myth and narrative of trying to live in prettiness. A pearl is created by the grit. So we need the diversity. So I feel that what we need to come back into is some more fundamental conversations or basic conversations about what does life really mean to us? And what are the things that make us as human beings feel alive and feel fulfilled? So that when we die, because that's the only certainty, we kind of can feel that we are leaving something for those that come, those that follow, that those that will take forward what we have brought in. And I feel that somehow we've lost touching that fundament. And that's why our Earth is in danger. And actually, we as a human species are in danger. We are facing our own suicide the most. And so I feel that we have to be very careful how much the gentrification has actually entered into our own selves. Because when we talk about haves and have-nots, to me that's a gentrified perspective immediately. As opposed to, have I met my neighbor? Do I know who you are? do I know your story? As opposed to me saying, oh, you've come from London, or oh, you were born in Frome. I feel the conversation needs to be more about how we humans want to live and work and basically save ourselves from our own extinction that we're facing right now.